And Therapy Thursday's on. Happy Thursday. Hi,
Thursday.
everybody. Thursday. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Triffy. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, with the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful guest for tonight. Her name is Marcia Blaine. I am welcoming all of you into the session. Come on into the room. Take a little seat. Share the love. That's right. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's have a healing conversation. I like to
Mhm.
say that I teach people how to think better so they feel better, so they can eventually do better. And I use many tools to do that as a psychologist and a psychotherapist. So, who is tonight's session for? Hmm. Tonight's session, before I introduce our guest, is for anybody with a brain. Because anybody with a brain has emotions. Yeah. And I truly believe that emotions or inability to properly manage what we're feeling is at the root of a lot of our distress as human beings. Again, like I said last week, think about a person who cannot manage their anger. That person might kill somebody. Can't manage your sadness, you might kill yourself. Okay? So, welcome to tonight's Therapy Thursday. I'm happy you are here. And I want to introduce you to tonight's guest. Like I said, her name is Marcia Blaine. She's a licensed professional counselor in Atlanta, Georgia. She's also a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and she is a trauma expert. So I'm going to have her introduce herself and tell us about her and tell us what all those titles mean. So, welcome to Therapy Thursday, Marcia.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Triffy, on Therapy Thursday. I am Marcia Blaine, a licensed professional counselor, a motivational speaker, an authentic life coach, and I'll explain that in a moment, and a certified clinical hypnotherapist with a specialization in trauma therapy. The authentic life coach is, I believe the calling on my life is to help others reach the authentic spaces for their life, living their authentic purpose. We can often walk through life and not be aware of who we are. We're just aware of what society says we're supposed to be, but I'll help you get to that authentic place. All of those titles. I am a professional counselor licensed in the state of Georgia, helping those battle anxiety and depression and trauma. I also am an employee at the Veterans Crisis Line. So I work with veterans who struggle with suicidal ideation and thoughts about completing their life. So we'll talk a little bit more about that this afternoon or this evening, actually. And then as a motivational speaker, that is my heart's joy, being able to see the light come on inside of others after they've heard their truth. That
Mm.
is the beauty of who I am. And so I am grateful to be here. We're looking forward to you all's questions. And we know in a little confidence that things are going to be said here today that's going to help you in your life, in your daily walk. So thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Oh, you all see how awesome she is. Please go ahead and share the live, share the live, share the live. This is life-saving information. It's life-saving
Mhm.
information. Tonight's topic is, what do you have to be depressed or anxious about? Marcia, would you say people have a point when they say that?
Mhm.
What do you have to be depressed about? Many people walk around and, they see your face might be a little low. You might say to them, I don't feel good. I feel very anxious. I don't know why. And they say, well, what do you have to be anxious or depressed about? What are your thoughts
Mhm.
on that?
Well, what's funny is I hear that more from adults talking to their children, as
Hmm.
if children aren't experiencing some tough times. They may not experience the things that we're experiencing as adults, but they're experiencing life. You don't know
Hmm.
all of the stressors. When we were growing up, we didn't have the stress of social media. we had people talking about us in school and things of that nature, but now if somebody takes a video of you, it can go worldwide. That's stressful. And then the anxiety and depression looks different on everybody. There are some people who are working with depression and anxiety, and they just kind of go through and they have this beautiful mask on their face as if everything is
Mm.
fine, and then they go home and they have to cry into their pillows and by themselves and believe that they're on an island by themselves, and then they wake up and put the mask on and keep going. And then you have those that experience anxiety and depression where the mind and the body begins to shut down, where you have to sleep, you don't eat, you become sad, you cry unexplainably, and then you try to find people that you can trust to say today's not a good day, and they have the audacity to say, well,
Mm.
what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You got everything that
Yeah.
you need. Really? If I had
Yeah.
everything that I needed and I wasn't battling through anxiety and depression, then you wouldn't have to ask me those questions. So obviously, there's a battle going on. We
Mhm.
just need to
So
be
what
gentle. Mhm.
mhm. You said we need to be gentle. What exactly is anxiety and depression though? You know, people say that, what does that mean?
Mhm.
You
So
know?
anxiety, exactly. Anxiety is where your body sends signals of anxiousness. Your mind can begin to race. You may not even know why you're
Mm.
feeling unnerved. You may not even know why. It could be a little thing. I shared with a client earlier today. I said, oftentimes when your anxiety is provoked, you're in situations where you don't even realize that you had an issue or concern from stuff in the past.
Mm.
And so, reminders. I had a client who talked about being a bedwetter at a young age, and then the mother making fun of them. And so, the
Mm.
anxiousness of now as an adult, not a bedwetter, but when they go on trips, oh my God,
Yeah.
are people going to think that I'm going to wet the bed? Well, that's anxiousness. Your body is reminding you that something has impacted it, right? And so,
Mhm.
when you experience that, the panic comes, your heart
Mhm.
starts doing this. You feel like you're having a heart attack. Here comes that pinch. And then
Mhm.
people don't understand you. You find yourself pulling for air in anxiousness. And it's not
Yeah.
it's kind of pull for air because you don't know what's happening in your body and you hadn't identified how do I calm that down. With
Mm.
depression, it's you can have depression where I'm a little sad, or you can have major depression where you go through cycles of sadness where it streams for days and you can't get
Mm.
out of the bed. You can't take care of your body. You don't eat. You can't think. You can't focus. And that sadness comes typically because something in your neurological system has said, "Hey, this is what's jumped off." Some of us experience anxiety and depression because of things that have happened in our past that we suppressed. Some of us go through those cycles because we've had unexpected trauma to come into our
Mm.
life. That unexpected trauma, for example, getting a call that someone is in an accident. I know as a mother, I don't want any of those calls. When my son was in Afghanistan, I threatened to get a uniform and go to
Mm.
Afghanistan and get my kids. I told the Marine Corps, you better let them call me. But my heart would palpitate thinking, what if, what if, what if? Well, I had to pull those thoughts back, calm my body, because I knew when the phone did ring, he could not hear me be upset. So I had to
Mm.
process it with me and identify what's my trigger,
Yeah.
what's my point, where am I with things. And oftentimes we don't get the grace to
Mm.
identify the triggers. We don't
Mm. What
get
are
the
triggers?
permission.
What are triggers?
Oh my goodness, because and you know this is part of my favorite conversation is the reason why we don't get grace is because in our community we've been told we can't have it. We need to be
Mm,
strong. We need to stand up. You need to be resilient. That's
mhm,
what we've been told. They lie to us because that means that if we have to do all of that, we can't experience any emotions. That means I
mm,
can't be true to myself. So in our community, back in the day, I remember when people say, "Oh, don't worry about him. You know, he's just crazy." No,
mhm.
experiences and responses from trauma.
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
the things in our community, when as especially as African Americans and people of color, when we go to therapy and we go to therapy with people that are not in our color origin, we're often misdiagnosed.
Mhm,
It's so easy to
mhm,
put us in this little box, right? That doesn't say PTSD or a trauma survivor. You're crazy. You don't have any control. You're lazy. You're just making excuses. And so that follows us throughout generations. And so
mhm.
that grace that we actually need to give to ourselves, we've had to suppress it because society and our community said we had to. But now
Yes.
we gotta have grace. Yeah, we
You
gotta
know,
have grace.
even as you describe that pressing down, that suppressing of
Mhm,
your feelings, it felt to me like when you have a scab over a wound, it's like, well, how does the wound get air to
mhm,
heal?
mhm.
And suppressing even more traumatizing.
Right. A lot of times, what I tell clients is, and I'm glad that you used the analogy about the wound, is we can bump something, create a bruising or something on our skin. We'll clean it out with peroxide and bacitracin and
Mhm.
put a band-aid on it and think, okay, I've gotten everything, I'm healing and it looks good. And then we bump it. We bump into that
Mm.
trauma.
Yes,
Didn't know
yes,
that we
yes.
bump into that trauma. And here comes the pus. Here comes
Right,
the
right.
pain. So we go back through and we're peroxizing and we're bacitracing and saying, okay, God, go ahead and heal it. Get the sun on it. And then we
Yeah,
walk a little further, swinging our arms, didn't realize it. Boom. We traumatized it again.
yeah.
And we keep doing that. And then we finally look when the healing occurs, it leaves a scar.
Mhm,
And that
mhm.
scar is a reminder that we didn't take time to show ourselves grace.
In the first
That's
place.
in the first place. Because if we had shown ourselves grace in the first place, we would have taken time to heal
Properly.
properly.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. Oh man, that's beautiful. You know, do you think people, you were talking about depression being on a continuum,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have a little bit of sadness, or you can have
Mm-hmm.
so much sadness you're thinking about ending it all. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
people at that end over there with a little bit of sadness, do you think they should prepare for the eventuality of maybe sadness to that degree where they are like, I just don't want to live anymore? Should they have like a plan of action? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think that whenever you battle um, depression and anxiety, things that can kind of take you outside of who you are, you need to
Hmm.
have a sturdy plan. You need to have what I call, and if any of my clients are on, they know you need to have your get naked person. Your get
Mm-hmm.
naked person is someone that you can be very vulnerable with, that won't
Mm-hmm.
judge you, that
Yes.
won't chastise you, but they'll wrap and clothe you in warmth in your nakedness, right? And
Yes.
so
Yes.
when you begin to battle with the thoughts of depression, and even the strongest people, and I'm gonna be real, I don't know a single person, including myself, that has never had at least one fleeting thought of suicide. Let's just be
You know
real.
what I mean?
It
You know what
happens. It
I
happens.
mean?
I remember
Yes.
distinctly being a single parent and feeling like I had nothing else to do. And I said, y'all come get my babies. They'll
Yeah.
probably be better off. And I need to just disappear. Well,
Yeah.
there was no action plan. There was nothing to put into place, but I was at such
Mhm.
a place of destitute. And of course, my children are 30s and 40s years old now. But
Yeah.
at that place, if I would have had a plan and a naked
Mhm.
person, I could
Mhm.
have said, I'm broken
Yes.
and I don't want to be broken in this spot,
Yeah.
because in this spot, it could lead to such a tunnel of depression that I
Mhm.
find myself in the face of making a permanent decision in a temporary situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you need a
Ooh, a
plan.
dedicated person and a
Mhm,
plan. I love that. Look, I have at least two right now that I can think of get naked
mhm,
people, you know,
mhm,
get naked. One's been my girlfriend for life, and one's my
mhm,
sister that's like my
mhm,
best friend for life. And I'm so
mhm,
grateful. And I've
mhm,
added more people,
mhm.
in that circle. I'm grateful for that
Yes.
because life can be tough. Like you all know what I've been dealing with this past year, and these people have been my rescue. My
Mhm,
rescue.
mhm,
No judgment. I can cry. I can bawl. I can have my hair without my wig on, looking like a crazy girl, and not a judgment in the world.
mhm,
And that
mhm.
is so liberating and
It
so
is.
freeing because, like you said, nobody is above being a human being. Nobody's
Exactly.
above being a human being.
But the other warning I want to give, especially to those of us that walk in this cloth of strength,
Mm,
your get naked person, if you don't have one, find one.
absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
reason is in the strength. I remember when my mother passed, and it'll be 6 years in March, and I found myself crying out. I'm the youngest, but they call me the little big sister because I know how to make stuff happen. And I
Mhm.
found myself crying out and saying, damn it, I can't believe that I'm
Mm,
going through this grief by myself. When I
mm.
know that I've been there for people, I know I've helped them. That was that was troublesome for me. And I
Yeah.
had somebody to say to me, well, Marcia, you're always so strong. I didn't know what to do. And Marcia's response was, do I look like a robot to you?
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
human. I got emotions.
Yeah.
My mama, right? And
Mm,
so in
mm,
that process, what it taught me is I needed to decrease all of the people that said they had me to one or two
mm.
naked people
Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
I could
Yes.
trust. That as I
Yeah.
go through, when my
Mhm.
daughter battled COVID, her and her husband, and my baby said to me, Mama, please don't take me to the hospital because people
Mm.
going to the hospital, they're not coming back, and I don't want to leave my babies. As a mother, my heart sank. And I called my get naked person. I was like, yo, like, I need you to pull me out of this trench because I got to keep taking care of them. You
Yeah.
need that support. You don't
Mhm.
have to walk in this cloth of strength by
Mhm.
yourself. Your get naked person is going to be true. They're going to be honest. They themselves are going to be vulnerable and
That's
naked
right.
with you. You
That's
need one.
right.
If you don't have one, if you don't remember anything else I say tonight, get you a get naked person.
Get yourself a get naked. Down south, we say naked. Okay?
Mhm.
Get a
Mhm.
get naked person. Somebody you can trust completely. Somebody you can lean on. They can see you bawl. They can see you cry. They can hear
Mhm.
your worst, what you
Mhm.
deem to be your worst mistakes or your
Yeah.
your lowest, your biggest failures, and still see
Mhm.
you and love you as you are and love
Mhm.
you as you are. That's what love does, you know. That's what
Mm-hmm.
love does. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That plan,
Mm-hmm.
that just is really getting a support plan in place.
Yes.
In place. Yeah.
And don't be
Wow.
afraid to say to people, I'm in a dark space.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Share with that get naked person. I'm in a dark space. I'm having a
Yeah.
tough time. And
Yeah.
I honestly don't need you to talk. I just need
Yeah.
you to be present.
That is big. The I don't need you
Mhm,
to talk. I think
mhm,
sometimes we misunderstand and we think, and so a lot of people might feel burdened when their friends come to them and they think they have to say something to fix it.
mhm.
What would you say about that?
Be quiet. Just be present. Oftentimes when we go through death, people
Mhm.
try to find the words to say. If you're having to find the words to say nothing. Just be present. When
Yeah.
someone is in a dark space, they invited you in not to fix it for them.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
invited you in to be present so that they can lean in
Hmm.
safety, they can
Hmm.
lean in comfort, and they can rest
Yeah.
knowing that if I close my eyes, someone is shielding me
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this moment. Just be quiet. We talk too
You know,
much, honestly.
we
As humans, we
do.
talk too much.
We do. And sometimes we're thinking before the other person even finishes their thoughts, you know. As I move through this season, it's been a season of grief.
Mhm,
Uh, there have been times when I know for sure I have felt some irritation and maybe like almost like a feeling of being let down, you know, by
mhm,
some of the people, you know, when you're
mhm,
talking to them, they're really, and really all I'm really asking for is listening. I just need to get it outside of me because it's so much. It feels so and yucky.
mhm,
I want to it. And so it has felt sometimes. And again, it's
mhm,
just maybe because we are trained listeners, it
mhm,
might be us, but I also think that because we're in community and because we're in family and death
mhm,
is part of life, this skill, this is a life skill we have to learn, that of
mhm.
listening when we are going through hard times.
Well, society has taught us to listen to respond, not listen to absorb.
Yes, yes, yes.
And because of that, we often make people feel like their words and their experiences aren't important.
Hmm. And it is by
Have
we might mean to, but the
Mhm,
action interrupting or offering solutions when they didn't really ask for, not validating what they're saying, making them feel as
mhm.
if they're wrong for what they're thinking or feeling. Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of times people don't realize that when you're in a position to listen, to fix, or respond, it's
Hmm.
actually creating a sense of judgment as if I didn't say enough, if I didn't say it the
Yes.
right way, if I
Do you think it
didn't
also
get
has to do with the intimacy and the connection?
absolutely, absolutely. Because here's the thing, if I am trusting you in a space with my truth in that moment, and you begin to try to fix me, you've
Mm-hmm.
broken my trust. Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
you broke the cord. You broke the
mhm,
connection cord between
mhm,
us. And now, whatever line I was going down, you know, sometimes you're in the sweet spot of really
mhm,
unloading, and then the person
mhm,
interrupts with a new thought, a different thought. You like, you jump out of whatever it is you were
mhm,
trying to say.
mhm.
Or
Exactly. It's kind of like when people call you, "Hey, girl, how you doing?" And before you can say, "Today is a," well, let me tell you what's
Mhm.
going on with me. And can you? And it's just like, so Marcia, in 2022, when conversations start like that, oh, baby, I gotta go. Because
Yeah.
what we have to learn, and for everyone listening, please hear this. Absorb what's for you to absorb. Say no, make that your favorite word in 2022, because a lot of us go through anxiousness and depression because we're taking on other people's stuff and we don't
Mm.
actually dump it off. It's not yours. You got
Yes,
your
yes,
own weight. You don't
yeah.
need to carry somebody else's weight. If people are
Mhm.
treating you like a dumping ground, you need to go ahead and make that last dump and clean it out. Your life is valuable. Your mental
Yeah,
health and well being is valuable. You're not a trash can and you're not a rug. You're more than that. And when you
I can,
balance,
as you're saying that, I can hear somebody fussing at you saying, but isn't that kind of rude and mean to just, say I have to go when the other person really wants to talk and share their feelings? They like to give them advice. I like to listen. Or what would you say to a person with those feelings and thoughts?
so Marcia's, if y'all hadn't picked it up, I can be a little petty. So my usual response is my office hour fee is this amount of money per hour. So we're either going to have communication and conversation where it's reciprocated, or I'm going to have to charge you a fee, because
Yeah.
that is then you taking advantage of me and my
Mhm.
skill set without acknowledging that you're dumping your stuff on me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
after my sessions, I go through a spiritual regurgitation. I literally go into meditation and I regurgitate everything that people have said to me throughout the day so that I don't
Mm.
carry that into my space. I sleep well most
Mhm.
nights when I'm not wrestling in my own head saying, Marcia, you need to do this and this and this. I
Mhm.
literally throw up
Yes.
stuff from the day. I reach in, Marcia, what's in you that's not serving you? Get it out. A
Mm.
lot of times our anxiousness and our depression and other mental health situations is because we've taken so much in and it's taken root and we
Yeah.
hadn't figured out how to let go.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
that leads to that
Oh,
space of sadness. That
yeah.
leads to that space. And think about this. Have you interacted with someone who, when you see them coming, when you see the phone ring, when you see them
Mhm.
post on your Facebook, your body goes,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a sign
Yeah.
of anxiousness because you already know
Yes.
they're going to pull energy out of you.
Yes.
You want to be
Oof.
mindful, right, of who you're giving your energy to, especially when you're going through. Because when
Oh,
you're going through, mhm,
on -0.
mhm, mhm.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
how
Yes.
are
Yes.
you going to empty yourself out going through and people are putting dirt and crap on you?
Right. Right.
That's not healthy. Because not only are you stinking from your own stuff, now you stinking from the stinking stuff from the stinking people.
Layers. Oh. Oh.
It's layers.
That sometimes takes some skill, though, for
Mhm,
some of us. What is the interplay between trauma, the environment we grow up, and our
mhm,
own brain
mhm.
in being able to manage all of that? Like, you know,
So the first thing we have to do is identify that a lot of our experiences are traumatic and they've
mhm,
left a trauma footprint, right?
mhm,
And so in that trauma footprint, we're trying to rationalize. I'll give you an example. I had a client or have a client that years when he first started seeing me, he was diagnosed with ADHD by
mhm,
a white therapist. But his truth
mhm,
is childhood sexual trauma, abandonment, neglect. He
mhm,
had a trauma footprint that was
mhm.
being ignored because he was a little black boy and they saw
Yeah,
him as acting out. When you
yeah.
start thinking about trauma and how that equates to your life and the movement Okay.
Mm.
Through life and the impact of that anxiety,
Yeah.
you have to recognize we got to tap into the trauma and find out where
Yeah.
the root is so we can start pulling that back. Because oftentimes, if we don't pull those layers back, one of the things I tell my clients is I treat therapy and life coaching like in Valdeia onion, one of the sweetest onions on the planet. When you gently take the layers off,
Mhm.
you cry, it feels uncomfortable, it gets in your
Mhm.
nose. But when you finish peeling all those layers off, you have a small sweet pearl that you can
Mm.
eat without any seasoning or additives because it's so sweet. But you got to get
Yeah.
through the layers. That is trauma. That is anxiety. That is depression. We got to get through the layers.
Yeah.
Be willing to first say, I am in a position to know that I'm hurting.
Yes.
I may not be able to put my finger on what that hurting is, but I am in a
Mhm.
position that I'm hurting. I need to
Yeah.
start taking the layers off
Yes.
and putting
Mm.
them away
Yes. Yes. Yes.
to bring that into place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Mm. You know, peeling layers of an onion causes us to cry, though.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like hard work.
It is. Here's the appreciation I have for tears, and I see crying as an opportunity of refreshing, detoxing, and nourishment. I'll tell you a
Say
personal
more.
story.
Yes.
Years ago, I was 30 years ago, my tear ducts had become inflamed to where I could not hardly close my eyes. And I went to the doctor thinking, oh, something must be going on. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, you're having a trauma response and you believe that you're too strong to cry. It's like, I don't cry. I don't cry in front of people. I'm too strong to cry. And he
Yeah.
said, I guarantee you, if you go home and you give yourself permission to cry, you're going to release
Mm-hmm.
all of those things that are unaddressed and watch
Mm-hmm.
your tear ducts go back to normal. And I did.
Wow.
And from
And
that point forward, I cry when I need to. My
yeah.
refreshing, my renewal, it does not take away your strength. You know, in the Black community, stop crying, especially we tell our young
Yes.
Black boys,
I
boys
know.
don't cry. That's a lie. And I'll say this,
Yeah.
if men don't cry as boys, they gonna definitely
Yeah.
cry as grown men. Please know
That's
that.
right. That's
We
right.
cry.
Mm.
God did not have a separate line saying the women over here, you get tears and men don't. That's not how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Crying, when you can actually understand the release of tears is a
Mm-hmm.
thing of beauty and
Yeah.
refresh, you'll allow
Yeah.
yourself to cry more.
Mm.
It's a release. It's a
Absolutely.
release.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. So we talked about that therapist who was able to see, was it a therapist able to read, see, intuit, understand that was about an emotional something. Mm. You talked about peeling the layers of an onion.
Mhm.
What tool do you use to help people do that better?
So the thing, one, your words are places of power. That's the
Mm.
first way to start pulling the layers off. I
Mm.
love when clients come in and they say, I don't know what to say in therapy. I don't have anything to say. And I look up and it's 40 minutes. And like, you had a lot to say in 40 minutes. Yeah, your words are the first layer because your words in a safe space is going to allow
Mhm.
you to reveal the truth. And so as we begin to talk through what you're experiencing, and you know
Mhm.
that it's not with judgment, you
Yeah.
understand that no one is going to hold you captive to your words.
Mhm.
Here comes the layers, the tears. And it's so funny because I have clients saying, I'm tired of crying. Okay, we got some more layers to pull off. We got some more layers to pull off. Here's the truth. Whether you're in therapy with a therapist, hypnotherapist, social worker, whomever, it is work.
Yes.
What you are going through is an unlearning and a disconnecting from the things that you have associated with, even when you couldn't make your own decisions. It's
Mm-mm-mm.
work. Because
Yes.
when we're kids, our idea of who we are is given to us by our parents and society.
Right. Mm-hmm.
When we're teens, our idea of who we are is given to us by friends and
Right on
society.
here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we are young adults, our idea of who we are is given to those that we befriend. It's usually
Mm.
around that 30 stage when we
Mm-hmm.
really start trying to identify us.
Yes.
Who
Separate.
am I without everyone else? So a lot of our stress, a lot of our anxiety, and a lot of our depression is we keep trying to live by somebody's definition of who we are.
We keep trying to live in adult minds and bodies as the kids we used to be.
Yes.
As the
Yes.
kids we used to be. And that template no longer works. And we do this and we do this until we go see a professional who helps us pull the layers of the onion to get
Mm-hmm.
to the really the authentic self,
Mm-hmm.
real self. You know, mama said, church
Mm-hmm.
said,
Mm-hmm.
friend said,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, whomever said.
Ramona said something in the comments. She said recovering and healing takes work, and a lot of us are afraid of what the work might reveal. That's true.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that: if the operation of your life hasn't worked, the revelation, the unpeeling, the healing will give you a different path that you didn't expect, but you get to live free. You get to live without that heaviness. So,
Yeah.
even in the fear of not knowing what it's going to reveal, when you
Yeah.
posture your mindset that I want to live in a space of freedom and healing,
Yes.
the fear won't mean as much. It's
Mm.
part of the
Mm.
process, right? Because
Ah.
your truth is if I am at a place in my life where I want to control my anxiousness, and it's
Mm.
something way back when where how that I can't really put my finger on that needs to
Mm-hmm.
be revealed, would I want to go through the process of revealing it so that I can heal, or am I okay and comfortable living in my anxiety?
Mm. So you're saying perhaps look to the higher goal and kind of pin
Mhm.
your eye. It says that keep your eye on the prize. Yeah. Like to stay
Mhm.
focused on the higher goal. So the energy maybe and the vibration of that higher
Mhm.
goal can pull
Mhm.
you up. Right now you're in a state of weakness and
Right.
uncertainty, confusion,
Mhm.
anxiety, not awareness. Hmm.
That process of learning and unlearning is
Mm-hmm.
hard
Yes, it
because
takes
you're
a lot of
having
energy.
to balance. Yeah, you're having to balance. But my mama said, and
Mm-hmm.
the world said, and the
Yeah.
school said, and in
Yeah.
trying to do that, give yourself the permission to
Yes.
identify you. That will help to
Mhm.
decrease your anxiety and your depression.
Yeah.
That will give you a voice for yourself.
Yeah.
That'll support your voice when you're in that dark space.
Like a little sense of control, or I have some input, I have some say in what thing is my life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That empowerment, that
Ooh.
self empowerment, give
Yeah.
yourself back the opportunity to control you, to empower
Mm-hmm.
you. Now, let's face it, life happens, right? And a
Absolutely.
lot of times,
Absolutely.
life happens way outside of our control or our desire.
Mhm.
When life does happen, if we have the tools,
Mhm.
we can work through processes. That doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. That
Right.
doesn't mean we won't have times of being broken and be like, oh my God, I just did not imagine it would be like this. Those
Mhm.
moments are okay. I tell my
Yeah.
clients when going through grief, there's no timetable on grief.
None.
So whatever
Yeah.
anybody tries to tell you about, you need to hurry up and get over it and all that kind of stuff, tell them
Let it go.
Marcia, that's a no.
Yeah. Let it go.
Your process of grief is different for
Mhm.
everybody. That's number one.
Mhm.
Number two, when you give yourself permission to grieve, you
Mhm.
actually allow yourself to come through with those tears so the healing can begin. It's when we fight our grief, when we fight our
Yeah.
anxiety, when we fight our depression, does the
Mm.
battle get harder. But when we give
Mm.
ourselves permission to sit in it, I didn't say
Yeah.
you had to lay down in it forever, but to give yourself permission to sit in that moment, that
To
is
feel it.
honoring you. Yes,
Mhm. To
yes, that's
feel it.
honoring you,
Yeah.
feeling that moment. And I've gotten to the
Mhm.
point now. I'm just so grown that I don't care. Listen, I'm hurt, and that hurts, and it don't feel good, and you need to
Okay,
stop.
I'm human. Okay,
Exactly.
I am human and it hurts.
Mhm.
And that's all there is to that.
Ramona got me laughing over here. She said those shower
What you
cries.
think?
Listen, when my mother passed, people, I got in the shower and I said, God,
Yeah,
what's up? Tears just
yeah,
flowing. And I was
yeah.
just like, well, that was refreshing.
Yes.
Okay, I got some energy now. You have
Yeah.
to experience your moments, give yourself permission to experience those moments, and said it's
Mhm.
okay to cry. Absolutely. It's okay to bawl.
To
You
ball like a
understand?
baby.
Ugly cry, snot, the whole nines. It is
Mhm.
okay.
Yes,
Think
yes,
about
yes,
this.
yes,
When
yes.
you're crying and you say to yourself, I give my permission to be in this moment
Mm,
and
mm,
feel
mm.
this moment. I feel and appreciate my tears. I
Yes,
feel and love me in this moment.
yes, yes, yes.
The power. The
The
power.
power of your words. Look,
Mm,
Petra said, depression really doesn't go away if not dealt with properly. And you are correct, especially if you are remaining in the same environment. So, what
yes.
can you offer to people who you're feeling this level of depression, not your circumstances? What do you do?
So, some of the things that I invite people to do is changing your actual mental environment. Even if you can't change your physical environment, in your head, I'll tell
Mhm,
people, go to your safe space in your head. My safe space is
mhm.
always the ocean with waves coming in and out. When things get overwhelming, I will take my mind to that safe
Yeah,
space. Because here's the thing, it doesn't matter how many people are acting a fool around you and trying to rob you in your environment, they can't get
right.
here.
You can't get here. You
Go to
got
your
no
safe,
access.
no access. You go internal because here's the thing,
Mhm.
you are your greatest asset,
Yes.
period.
Ooh,
You're your greatest
yeah,
asset. You
yeah.
absolutely know what you need. So,
Mhm.
in order to first change the environment, we got to change here. And
Yeah.
then, when we can escape the physical environment that's causing us this toxic response, right? Because toxicity
Mhm.
is coming out and you're absorbing it and you're trying to figure out a way to get it out of your body. Go
Mhm.
here, identify your naked person that will help you escape,
Yes, indeed.
right?
Yes,
And that
indeed.
way you can change positions
Mm.
from where you are because you
Yes.
can't continue to try to thrive in toxicity. You've got to
Mhm.
be able to move. and you got to move
Yeah.
first here, because when you can move here, it reduces the fear of the physical move.
So you start believing that you can succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
my clients can probably say this well. You change your mouth to change your heart. You change your
Oh,
heart to change your mind. You change your
yes.
mind to change your actions and your
Mm,
behaviors. You change
yes.
how you
Yeah.
think and move. And so when
Mm-hmm.
you actually make that your business, see, be about the business as about your business, because everybody gonna do
Work.
their thing. But when you be about your business, even when you're having a sad moment, you're
Yeah.
still consciously aware about your business. You
Mm,
are your greatest asset.
yes.
Getting
Mm,
from, you asked a question earlier, going from here to
yeah.
that brink of the
Mm-hmm.
decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, that decision is made without sharing with anyone
Mm,
that that's where they are. I
yeah.
want to say this: if someone decides that they want to complete their life, it is a personal choice. It has
I love
nothing
what you're
with
saying. I
anybody
love
else.
what you're saying. You're saying they're choosing to complete their life. Can you
Mhm,
tell me, that's one of the things I'm curious about,
mhm,
the way you phrased it when we were talking earlier. You said some people, people choose to complete their life and have a
mhm,
choice to complete their lives. So
mhm.
tell us more about that. What do you mean by that?
So, when you're battling with that state of deep depression where you feel like there's nothing else, and that afterlife would be much better for you, you've
Mhm.
made a choice that that's it
Yeah.
for you. Let's go back to the young lady who was, I can't remember the country, but she was somewhere in Europe, young lady, 17 years old, and that baby had gone through a lot of trauma.
Hmm.
And she left a note and said, "No one listened. And
Mm,
I'm making the choice to control the remainder of
mm,
my existence. I'm choosing to complete my life."
mm.
In the moment of her trauma, right? She made that choice. So a lot of people want to throw the
Yeah.
word suicide out there because it has such a negative stigma on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
making it the same way that you make a choice to live, that
Yeah.
person made a choice to complete their life. It's a personal
Mm-hmm.
choice. It's a grappling choice, I'm going to
Yeah.
assume, right?
Yeah.
Because no
Mm-hmm.
one knows what's on the other side. Yes, we know the Bible. Yes, we know all of the things that we've been told, but how many of us have actually gone to the other side and came back to tell?
Right.
I'm just
Come
saying, we
back
don't
to
have that experience. I don't know what it's like. If you do, raise your hands, let us know. But our truth is, they have gotten to a place where they said, my existence can be better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a
Mm-hmm.
choice. They chose to
Yeah.
complete life. What I will
Mm,
tell people is, while you're having your choice, if you want to reach out for help,
mhm.
choose the right help. So
What
that,
does that mean?
so choosing the right help, there are so many people making money on social media
Mm,
trying to convince you that
yeah.
they're the best thing coming, the best thing smoking. You actually
Right, right,
need
right.
to use individuals who are well aware, practiced, educated, and understanding. Now, some people don't get it confused. I always say that a
Mhm.
PhD, even when I was going through the program to get a PhD, means please help them, right? Because some people get a degree and they don't always know how to be, anything beyond education. So I'm not knocking that.
Yeah,
But
right,
what I'm
right.
saying is, get the person that you can trust, that is going
Yeah.
to help guide you through what the trauma experiences are. And even in your conclusion, the hope is
Mm-hmm.
don't make a decision that you can't reverse. But if you choose to, it's still
Mm-hmm.
your choice. But if you've
Yeah.
done what you felt you've done to get your voice out to with the right people, because it's going to take the right person, the person, back in the day, therapists, even now, some therapists, I'm not a book therapist, I got the degree, but I don't practice book therapy. The reason is it doesn't always work because I
Does
need
not.
somebody. I want somebody to sit here going, so tell me how that feels. And what do you think about that? I don't want that. We are going to work in therapy. We are going to talk
Yes.
about it. We're going to get to the bottom of things to help
Yes.
change lives, right?
Yes.
Because the truth is, if you are strong enough to come to therapy, you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for and change.
Yeah. We are
Line.
looking to heal. Yeah.
Mhm.
We are looking
Mhm.
to heal.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. Okay, you mentioned that you do a lot of work with military
Mhm.
in your
Mhm.
introduction. Can you tell us about that? Because the military, like some members, have a lot of struggles with
Mhm.
suicidal ideation,
Mhm.
post-traumatic stress. What are you finding in that community?
So, what one of the things that's happening is, I think the military does a poor job in
Mm,
transitioning our veterans back into
okay.
civilization. Because you got to remember, a lot of our military personnel will enter the military 18, 19 years old.
That's
Beyond what
right.
public want to say, those are formative years. Those are
Yes.
developmental years at
Yeah.
18, 19, 20 years old. They're still developing. So they're still kids, right? You take them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you break them down in boot camp, you try to build them back up, and then you throw them in a combat zone where they're having to take lives, they're having to run for their lives, and all those different things. That's trauma. Well, when they
Yes.
come back to the civilian side, you're expecting them to act like the rest of us, undisciplined, out of
Mm-hmm.
control, no order, right?
Yeah.
And they've
Yeah.
been conditioned to be disciplined, controlled, and in order. Then they've
Mm-hmm.
seen things that a lot of us can't even begin to imagine.
Right.
And so when they come back to their families, right? The family's expecting
Mm-hmm.
them to be their norm. I'll tell you from a personal place. When my son was coming back from Afghanistan, we had a conversation and I said to him, "What do you need?" And he
Yeah.
said, "Mom, I need people to not ask me how many people I killed. I need to
Yeah.
people to not walk up on me too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I need people to understand I am not who I was."
Yes. Ooh,
And
yes.
I put that message out to family. And I
Mm-hmm.
still use that when I talk to veterans every day because
Mm-hmm.
in their minds, they feel like misfits. They
Yes. Don't belong
feel like they
anymore.
don't belong anywhere because they come back into a society that has no idea what they
Yeah.
struggle with.
Yeah.
My heart breaks when I talk
Yeah.
to military personnel who married people who have no empathy, no
Mm-hmm.
sympathy. They're mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're disgusting, they're vile. They're telling them things like, "Oh, you're just weak. You should be over it. You've been out of the military 20 years." Really? Could you have stood a
Yeah.
day in their shoes? And
Right.
so
No
I
idea.
talk
Yeah.
to veterans, my my ability to help veterans to de-escalate um, is is known throughout the veterans crisis line. I have people saying, "Marcia, can you please talk to him?" Because one, I had to live through the experience of my son. I wasn't in combat, but I knew as a parent
That's
what that
right.
was like. Number
That's
two,
right.
I have an empathetic heart without judgment.
Yeah.
So anything that they
Mm.
tell me does not shock me. That's just like in therapy.
Right.
People don't go to
Absolutely.
therapy because they're afraid of being judged.
Mm-hmm.
We have to remove that. And so our military personnel, they struggle. Unfortunately, at the VA, because there's so many veterans and so few therapists, they don't get the
Mm-hmm.
time A lot of the therapists aren't trauma trained in the sense
Mm,
beyond CBT, because you need
yes,
more than
yes,
CBT, right? And so they don't always get heard or feel validated, which leads to them being drugged with medication,
hmm.
leading them to suicidal ideation and sometimes completion. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. One thing that jumps out at me is your mention of CBT. So, for those of you who know, CBT stands for Cognitive Behavior Therapy, where we essentially say it's your perception of what's happening that's either
Mhm.
causing, leading you to think a certain way and feel a certain way and do a certain thing. Now,
Mhm.
Marcia is saying that that style of therapy is not always efficient. I know
Mhm.
you're a trained hypnotherapist. Can you tell us who trained you, and how are you using hypnotherapy in your practice?
Well, Dr. Triffy trained me to be a clinical hypnotherapist, and it has been the most fascinating journey of my clinical skill building. For those, let me say this because I've had some people to try to challenge me on my Facebook page and say, well, you need to trust God. No, stop putting God in a box because he doesn't belong there, right? With clinical hypnotherapy, what it has done with my clients, it has given them permission to allow the subconscious to do what it needs to do to get free and to experience healing. I had a
Yes.
client on Friday that said, I don't want to leave my safe space. It's too much peace. With clinical hypnotherapy, you are allowed to give yourself permission to go as far back as need be for your release, for your healing, for your freedom.
Yes.
Clinical hypnotherapy, even for myself, it took me deeper into a childhood situation that I had put my mask on and thought that, hey, we're good. And I kept saying, this lady got me on the camera crying, my makeup running, just what in the world? But I felt so free. Dr.
Hmm.
Triffy, and being in the world of clinical hypnotherapy for 25 years, has opened the door for Black and Brown providers to actually grab another tool. Because, if in case some of y'all don't know, mental health is rooted, grounded, and built on white male persona and thought
Hmm.
process. Clinical hypnotherapy allows us to get into our true self. It understands how we can unearth those things that have become an anchor to our happiness, and we can release the anchor. If you haven't
Hmm.
tried clinical hypnotherapy, I encourage everyone that's watching, do at least one session. You'll end up doing
At,
3 to 4, but do at least
at,
one.
at least once. Earlier you mentioned how as kids and teenagers and young adults, and as we move into adulthood, we pick up these narratives, these stories, these roots that,
Mhm.
unless we go back, unless the adult goes back and rescues the child sometimes,
Mhm.
forward with the big body, the pretty face, the nice boobies, the nice buttocks, but feels like a little child inside,
Mhm.
completely overwhelmed with anxiety or fear or depression, and just feeling so weak on the inside, not knowing why am I continuing to struggle so much. And
Mhm.
hypnotherapy, I'm telling you, I have not a tool to help us go back and unroot, pull them up by the root that doesn't work, and
Mhm.
create I knew we're going to plant some new trees in there so we can get
Mhm.
some better.
Mhm. When you could go back to that little boy, little girl in you that keeps trying to dominate how you respond, those tantrums,
Mm.
getting mad at people because they disagree with you, over talking people because you feel like you don't have a voice. All of that stuff is rooted back in childhood where
Mhm.
you first started dealing with it. And so it's emulated in your adult life because you've been fighting all of your life to be seen and to be heard. Hypnotherapy will give you the opportunity to release that, reparent that little child. For me, I put my little girl to rest and told her that it was my time
Yeah,
to take the rest of the journey, that she was no
that's right.
longer needed. So
That's right.
it works and it helps. Don't be afraid of therapy. Don't be afraid of hypnotherapy. And definitely don't be afraid of how you're feeling. What you're
Absolutely.
feeling is true to you. And it is okay to share with your naked person. A lot of my clients, they think I'm their naked person because I get text and all kind of stuff about all kind of stuff. And I am, because
Yeah.
I support them. I nurture my clients as if they were my own, because I truly believe that God sent each of my clients to me for a
Yes,
purpose.
that's right.
And when you recognize that and you walk in that, it changes. Get you a get naked person, a get naked
Mhm.
therapist. Give yourself
Ooh.
permission to reparent that inner child. Give yourself
Mhm.
permission to be free. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, look, I think right at 8:01, you have brought us down so well. I want you to think as I go through and see if we have any comments, any more questions or comments. I want you to start thinking about what you want to leave the all of the beautiful listeners with tonight, how they reach you,
Mhm.
what else? What words do you want to leave them with? What final thoughts do you want to leave them with? And as you do that, let them know where to find you, because you're talking some sweet sauce right here.
Well, one, let's do this since we're all in this room. I just want us to take a really deep inhaling breath together at the count of three. One, two, three. Deep breath in. Hold that breath a couple of seconds. When you get ready to release, I want you to let it flow smoothly and effortlessly. Let that breath go, calming the space, inviting peace, giving yourself permission to absorb what you needed to absorb tonight, giving yourself permission to be there for you and be present for what your needs are. As we prepare to end tonight, I want you to take a couple of things away. What you're feeling is true to you. Honor
Yes.
that. Get you a get naked person. Honor that.
Yes.
Use your voice of empowerment to say, I need an ear.
Yes.
Honor that. Okay. Um, Ramona said, can you advise what to look for in a good hypnotherapist?
Mhm.
Personally, I believe that when you call to talk to someone, whether it's a therapist or hypnotherapist, you need to feel an energy that jumps
Mhm.
with you. And what does that mean? That means that if you don't get a good feel over the phone, they may not be the one that you need to trust. That's number one. Number two, identify what you would like for hypnotherapy to do for you. And then the hypnotherapist, you want to make sure that they can align their process with you. Because the truth is if your hypnotherapist is focused on their own stuff while you're in the middle of the session, they can't really hear from the spirit the
Mhm.
questions to ask you and guide you. Okay.
Not your
So,
person. Mhm.
hmm?
Not your person. They are not your person.
They are not
Yeah.
your person. And just because
Mhm.
they got a good branding scheme going
Mm.
on and all this advertisement and stuff like that, don't be so
Mhm.
easy to follow into
Mhm.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Trust your innate ability, trust your intuition. Your intuition will never fail. Trust your heart. Your body will give signals to you when things aren't right. It'll let you know. It's not working. Your body will give
Yeah.
signals.
Yes.
And
You know,
Dr. Tripp
go ahead.
wanted me to
Go
let
ahead.
you all to know. Hmm? I'm sorry.
Say that again.
I was saying
Say
you
that
wanted me
again.
to let them know how to find me. So I
Mhm.
have a treat for you all on my website. And my website is marciablaine.com. That's MarciaBlane.com. If you go under the products section, you will find a zero cost to download the Unsticking the Trauma PDF. Okay. And it's a workbook that you can begin to work through. I have some videos to go with it. I'm having some technical difficulties, but we'll get those out there soon. You can email me at MB as in boy, LANE at peculiar1.com. Josie, you'll put that in the comments for me. MBLANE at peculiar1.com. Email me. Let me know that you were a part of the live tonight. I will send you the PDF. I will put you on my email list. I will let you know when I do the empowerment conferences. That's next week. Well, Empowerment Saturday, which is next Saturday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we come together on Zoom to empower whoever shows up. Is no cost. That is my gift back out. Because here's the thing I know, your gifts will make room for you and put you among great people, and you won't have to beg people for money. It's going to come. It's going to come. Yeah, it's going to come. So email me so you can get on that email list. And I am so grateful that you all chose to spend this hour and a few minutes with us. And thank you, Dr. Triffy, for allowing me to be present with you tonight. This was beautiful.
You are so very welcome. Y'all, type in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought about the show tonight. I feel energized. I feel excited. Ooh, I hope you go to Marcia's website. It is marciablaine.com. You can also get her at mblaine at pecure1 with the number 1.com. So, any final thoughts for the crew, Marcia? Final word, final word, final word.
Final word, love yourself. You are your greatest asset.
I love that. I love you also. I like to say that abundance is a divine right for each of us.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I really pray that you take full advantage of all of the abundant blessings that are available to us. And I
yes,
truly have come to believe that we just have to say yes because they're always available. And when we say yes, it doesn't mean we're taking away from somebody else's supply because there's always enough. There's always enough. And some of us sometimes feel bad when we do say yes to supply because the people around us, like say our tribe, might not yet be ready. It's
mhm.
okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Because each of us has a different path. And
Mhm.
sometimes you have to say yes. So they see you do it. They can now take courage and do it too. So
And we have to say yes so we don't stop somebody else's blessing because they were
that's
told to do
right.
something in our lives. Yeah, I got you.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yes, yes,
So the other thing is, please check on Strong Friend tonight. whoever the strong friend is in your life, check on that person tonight, because we are all human beings. We're all human beings, and we all have what is this? Brains, and therefore we have emotions. Okay, and we are liable to go from here a little bit to all the way over there. All right. If that happens, you know you can reach out to somebody like Marcia at Marcia Blaine. All right, y'all.
Blaine at peculiar1.com. You'll get me every time.
That's right. M. Blaine at peculiar1.com. All right. Peace. Happy Thursday.
Deuces.
Y'all.
Happy Thursday.
Deuces.
Good night.
Good night.